Hello, Internet. This is Whispering Whim, bringing you another grocery haul today. I spent just over $200, which seems to be my consistent mark, right? And I did get a request from one of my listeners to kind of discuss how I stay on budget. And I think rather than just doing one long list of things that I do, I'm just going to try to add a few tidbits in between showing you stuff. So, first up, we've got some Cascade Complete, big old jumbo size from Sam's Club. Shopping in bulk is certainly one way to help your numbers, right? So I've got a giant box of minute rice. I haven't been eating too much rice myself, but it doesn't go bad, right? And my boy deserves to have some non-diet food, I guess, is the best way to put that. So, jumbo box of rice. Next up, we've got some cinnamon donuts, also for my man. And who can forget his jalapeno peppers, right? Next up, we've got some lunch stuff. This is a combination of Chips Deluxe Rainbow, so it has the cute little colorful M&Ms in there, right? We also have some fudge strips and Cheez-Its in the box. Moving right along, we got some crispy hatch chilies. You may know that usually I buy the crispy jalapenos, and I don't know whether these are hotter or more mild, but they had like 500 boxes of these. And none of the jalapenos that we love so much in this household. So, you know. Got some ketchup, Caesar dressing for my salads. Finishing off this bag, we have a nice bunch of cuties to enjoy. Those are also for the lunches. Next up is some romaine hearts, and a good example of one of the ways I help stay on budget, because you can buy lettuce that's pre-cut in a bag, right? And you go, well, it's only like $2-3, that's not so bad, right? But for that $2-3 you get like maybe 2 salads, right? When I cut these romaine hearts up, they will make approximately 6 salads. I usually get 2 out of each heart. And another side bonus of buying them this way is that they'll actually keep a lot longer. You know, with regular lettuce, you open up the bag and then it's like 2 days later, it's gone all gross on you. This stuff will stay uncut for like almost 2 weeks, more or less, depending on, you know, what quality it started out with. So not only do I save just on volume, but I also save because I'm not throwing so much product away. Looks like our next item is some little blueberry cookies. I really enjoy Knott's Berry Farm cookies. They're just like a little shortbread, right? And today they had blueberry and boysenberry and strawberry. So I got a couple different ones, but they're all kind of assorted in the bags. I packed very haphazardly today. Next we have not one, but two whole things of half and half. You may recall that I've been trying to diet So I've been drinking even more coffee than I used to, which maybe isn't the best, but it's pretty diet friendly. So I've been increasing how much creamer I use. Next up, we've got the salt and pepper potato chips that my guy loves so much. And then we've got some very noisy corn tortillas. And looks like we've also got some green beans that are already cut, julienned, or I guess French cut, as this package says. These can be pretty tasty if you like saute them with some butter and garlic. And buying frozen beans like this, I think this was like $1. So it's a very cost-effective way to add some vegetables, right? And then finishing out this bag is just some simple butter, right? Nothing too extravagant. On the top of this bag, we have quite a few fun things. We've got more of those berries, or Not Berry Farm cookies. Got a chocolate moon pie and a strawberry moon pie. I always try to buy at least one fun thing to put in lunches. I find that not only does it make the lunches at least different once in a while, it also makes shopping itself a little more fun. I set aside, I think it's usually around $10 that I spend on just random stuff. And I plan that into my budget, so, I have the $10 to do that. And also, I find that if I allow myself, like $10 of fun money, then I don't buy as much random stuff. Because I'll hit the $10 mark and be like, okay, I've had enough. Whereas if I try to tell myself not to buy anything, there'll be like a new cookie I want to try, or I don't know, just stuff. And then you throw it in the cart without thinking, and it adds up fast. After those fun cookies, this will seem pretty boring, but I did pick up some eggs. Nice cheap source of protein. And then some Earl Grey tea. And let's see here. Oh, here's some more cookies. This one's boysenberry flavor. This bag really is a mess. A new cashier opened up her line for me, and she was just like boom, 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 just trying to crank it out. So I got nervous and I packed really fast. I could have afforded to slow down a bit. We've got some taco seasoning and tomato, garlic, basil. I don't think I've tried this flavor yet, so I'm kind of curious. You may notice I don't buy a ton of flavoring packets or like box kits or things like that. They add up, even though they seem cheap. Like you can get a thing of hamburger helper for $2, right? But if you already have spices and noodles, you can make the same kind of combination on your own for like $1. So that's another little way that I save money, but occasionally, like with this one, I just want to try a new flavor profile. This next thing I was really excited about. You may not share my excitement. I'm told that my love for seaweed is a bit weird. But I really do. I enjoy eating seaweed like a lot. But I don't normally buy it because The stores I go to will have single packets for like $1.15 or something like that. And that's just way too much money for how much food you're getting. But today, kind of hanging out in an end cap, so maybe it'll become a regular product. They had this 6-pack for $4. So still a little pricey, but kind of within the acceptable range. And this definitely went into like the fun budget because I'm excited for my seaweed. And then, of course, we have to have cheese. And there's always cheese in the shopping trip, right? And today we've got some Mexican 4 cheese and some mozzarella. Next up is another one of my strange splurge items. You wouldn't think getting veggie spirals would be a splurge, but they're almost $3 for a little bag like this. And I got 2 of them. But I use them instead of spaghetti noodles. Like, I'll make noodles for the boy and these for myself. First couple of times I made it, it was kind of like meh. You know what I mean? They just were kind of mushy and unimpressive. But I've learned the trick. And that is to defrost them, drain the water out, and make sure you squeeze all the water out. And then saute them in oil or butter or whatever. And they'll actually crisp up a little bit. So it kind of adds some texture back in to something that, you know, can be kind of bland texture-wise, especially when you want to have regular spaghetti noodles. Next up is some Parmesan cheese. This is another one of those things where it's actually a little more pricey than, you know, maybe like the average thing I get, because it's like $4 for one of these little buckets. But one of the ways that helped me learn to stay on budget is that I would actually open up the calculator app on my phone, and then I would just add everything. You know what I mean? No matter what my budget was, or if I even had a budget of, you know, I would just put it in, you know, buy Parmesan cheese plus $4, you know, creamer plus $3, you know. And this does 2 things. First off, if you're halfway through your shopping trip and you've spent like $200, you may want to take out some of the high ticket items, right? But also, it makes you very aware of what's pricey and what's not. And you start to learn to make compromises, right? Like today I got some Parmesan cheese, but I did not get the little cream cheese wedges that I like to put on crackers. So it's a trade-off. And I don't actually have to pull out the calculator anymore. I've been doing it for so many years that it's like second nature. But if you're just starting out, or if you're not used to shopping a lot, I think that's a really good way to be more cautious, or conscientious rather, about what you're buying. Anyways, let's go ahead and continue with the foodstuffs. We've got some Polish sausage and a lot of bacon. You may recall last month I complained because the person gave me so much bacon, and I just ended up eating more bacon and kind of like working it into my routine. So this time I intentionally got a whole pound of bacon, which it seems like that's a lot to me, but it's not really. If you have it for breakfast a couple of times. And then this little guy is some garlic. I did buy that roasted garlic last month, remember? And that was an impulse buy last month. And it's still in my refrigerator. I've only used like 2 of the little packets within the packet, it's not bad. But I kind of prefer having the control over the flavor. With raw garlic, you can choose how much you cook it and etc. And that affects how it tastes. With the pre-roasted garlic, it tastes the same no matter what you do to it. Next up is some string cheese. And this reminds me of another little tip. I think many of you probably know, but on the price tag, there'll be like a per unit or per ounce comparison. And you'd be surprised because usually bulk buys are better buys, right? But not always. I've noticed with string cheese that they flip-flop all the time. Sometimes this size has the best per unit price, and sometimes the little tiny packet actually has the better per unit price. So looking at that is also another helpful tool. We've got some more Knott's Berry Farm cookies. Told you they just wended up everywhere. And we've got some curry mix. I do have the spices and the ability to make it from scratch, and it would be cheaper to do it that way. But this is so easy that it's one of my few cheats. Normally I choose bulk items or like individual items, right, over convenient stuff, but small exception. I'm also awkwardly holding some corn here. Again, another nice cheap vegetable because it's $2 for this whole bag, and that's definitely a month's worth of corn for us. And then we've got something fun for the boy. I let him eat bread and rice and all of those things, right, that I don't let myself eat. And he loves cheese. He loves bread, so this month I got him cheesy bread. And then I conceded and just bought him 2 boxes of the garlic Triscuit. He loves Triscuits, and I think this garlic flavor is his favorite right now. But I was, for a little bit, like, avoiding it. Like getting rosemary or pepper or anything else, because the roasted garlic gives him the worst breath. Don't tell him I said that. I don't normally notice it too much, like, his smell day to day. But when he eats these Triscuits, man, it's a little intense. One lonely bag of mashed potatoes, because potatoes are another thing that I've mostly cut out for the sake of the diet. And finishing off this bag is some onions, which is another great example of something you can do to save money. I buy a big old bag of them, and when they're like this, they'll last a whole month. So I've had some last like almost 2 months. Kind of depends on your storage method and how the onions were when you got them, right? You can buy like a single onion, which isn't too bad, right? It's like $1 or maybe 80 cents. But for $3, I have multiple onions that take a long time to go bad. And, so that's cheaper than buying the single onion. And it's also cheaper. I've noticed that they now have like little clamshells of pre-diced onions that they sell in the supermarket. And that's a real waste of money. Yes, you don't have to cut the onions and cry, but they're like, I think I've seen them as high as like $5 for, a box this big, and they go bad faster after they're cut. So I can't use them fast enough, and I cook almost every day. And I hate to waste. I don't want to throw anything out. And so, little onions it is. Next up, we have my convenient little wine bag that I've converted into a can bag. Can, bottle, heavy stuff bag. And within that bag, I have two monsters. I've mostly weaned myself off of energy drinks. I used to have like a drink a day habit, and I've stopped that. But I do have my punk rock show flea market thing tomorrow, and I like to have a little extra pep in my step when I'm trying to sell my stuff. I know that one of you wanted to know more about how the show goes, and unfortunately I don't have an update yet other than their little previews of like the other entertainment. Is a little crazy. Like they're gonna be like smashing cars and I don't know, having like a pub crawl and all sorts of things. It's gonna be an interesting experience. So I need some energy for that. And then we got some syrup and some black olives. Next up, got another container of the Hunter Mix nuts. This was my surprise find, right, from last month. And even after eating pretty much a whole can of it to myself, I still like them. So I got another one. And it's only like $8 for that whole giant jar. So I can't complain too much. I got the boy some cinnamon bagels for his breakfasts. And for his lunches, we got some hummus. Sam's Club only had their like Members Mark, which is their store brand of the hummus. I hope it's as good as the main brand because I can be a little picky sometimes when it comes to this stuff. Next, we've got a very crinkly bag of Honeycrisp apples. And I don't think I can lift this one-handed. Maybe? Nope. Inside here is a 3-pack of spaghetti sauce. This 3-pack of spaghetti sauce is actually a surprisingly good deal. They are 2-pound jars, which the supermarkets normally have like the 1-pound jar. I find that being able to add a little extra sauce to my spaghetti makes it go a lot further. And then I usually end up like with this much left over, right? Which then I can use as like on another meal, like a covering for chicken or a dipping sauce for breadsticks. So I have found multiple uses for my giant jars of spaghetti sauce. Next up, we got a big old bag of broccoli. Always amazes me how much broccoli we go through. But it's just so tasty when you roast it. And then for me, a giant thing of prosciutto, yet again. It's a somewhat guilty pleasure because it's salty and expensive and, you know, blah, blah, blah. But as far as like keeping on my diet plan for, you know, counting calories and being kind of low carb, this is good stuff. Next up, a giant bag of carrots. This is another thing that surprises me by exactly how many we eat. But that's a good thing, right? Better to be eating carrots and broccoli than too many potato chips. And down here, and then next up, slightly squished hamburger. This one was reduced for quick sale, which does mean that it's closer to its expiration date, but it'll still be fine. And I'll be freezing most of it anyways, so I'm not too worried about that. Learning that a lot of food lasts longer than advertised is another good way to help you make the most out of your budget, right? Because you can buy things like this that are reduced for quick sale, and you can also hold on to something that maybe, like on this package it says use or freeze by February 11th, which I think that's still 2 days away. 3 days away. But it'll actually still be safe to eat probably until, I don't know, the 15th or so, if I never took it out of the package and, did whatever. So if you freeze it right away, then it's definitely fine for a while. And the last little guy in this particular bag, which we're almost at the end here, is some chicken breasts. It's only $4. We've got 4 giant pre-roasted breasts, which I'll chop up for salads and all sorts of stuff. I was really glad with my choice to buy it last month. And I suppose that brings me to another little tip. I don't anymore write lists. I used to write a list, okay, I'm gonna make spaghetti and hamburgers, so I need to have, buns, pickles, and spaghetti sauce and spaghetti noodles, and, to help me kind of match things up so that I was using a product over multiple meals. I don't do that anymore. Part of it is that I've been kind of going through like a chopped phase where I like to randomly throw a lot of my meals together. And I think also I've learned to shop by proportion instead of, here's a spaghetti dinner and all those lists, and here's, hamburger dinner and all that list. Instead, I make sure that at least 25%, usually closer to 30% of my budget goes to protein. And then like a full 20% or so goes to lunches. And, based on where my priorities are, I have like a percentage. So if I've already spent, let's say $30 on snacks, which I don't think I would spend that much, but maybe. If I've already spent $30 on snacks, then I better have, $50 available for protein. And if I'm not spending that ratio, right? If I'm not balancing what I'm picking up at the store, then I'll not have enough of stuff, right? Or I'll end up buying a lot of junk food and not much meal prep or whatever. So, I just try to balance it. And with that, we're down to our last 3 items. Not pictured, because I didn't want to lift it up again, is a case of seltzer water that's way over there. And then we have my giant bulk pack of chicken that I will split up. It was only, let's see here, $13.08, and there is there's 6 breasts in here. So that's actually close to 12 meals. Well, 12 individual meals, so 6 dinners, if that makes any sense. Because we don't need a whole chicken breast a piece. So I cut it in half. And then last but not least, some protein shakes. I confess I've been drinking a lot of these. Not the best way to diet. Consuming your calories in liquid form tends to make you more hungry later on. But this is one of those things where convenience matters. Overall, I usually tell people to just buck up and put the effort in. You know what I mean? Buy onions and cut them, kind of things. But for my own lunches, like the boy gets all sorts of elaborate stuff. I'll give him hummus and carrots and chips and everything. And then for me, it's a protein shake sometimes. But it works, you know. So, with that, we are all done with our shopping haul today. Emma, I hope the tips were helpful. If you have any more like specific questions, feel free to reply in the comments or message me. And then we've got some new subscribers, Life on Plants and Courtney. Thank you for subscribing. And to my regulars like Treasure Vale and ASMR Fiend, thank you as well. Hopefully I will have a Bobcat in a Box movie video at the end of the month. Unfortunately, that's all I've got planned for February because I'm going to be busy doing stuff. Yeah, I'll stop babbling now. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful night. Nighty night.